Carl's drive allows you to control Nirvana in battle, but there are a few things about it you should probably be aware of. First, Nirvana moves when you press and hold D, but you won't actually attack until you release it. Second, you can only give commands to Nirvana when you're not being attacked, so if you're blocking, taking hits, or lying on the ground, she's not gonna respond. And third, if you're attacked while Nirvana's making her move, she'll stop dead in her tracks. Well, there are a few exceptions to that, like her Cumbrio or her supers, but keep that in mind so you aren't caught off guard when you need her most. Oh, and one more thing, Nirvana has her own life bar just underneath Carl's portrait. It'll drain every time you use her or when she gets hit, but it'll recharge automatically when she's idle. Be careful though if it empties out, you won't be able to use her at all until it's full again. Carl's strength lies in his ability to string two separate combos together using Nirvana as the link, so abuse her forward D and up D when you can, especially when your opponent is sandwiched between Carl and his sister. Essentially, you're using Nirvana to finish her first combo, but her attack allows you to begin another combo, linking the two together. We've included a few basic examples in our combo section, but experiment to find your own flow. Just don't be predictable with your loops. Keep your opponent guessing by mixing in highs and lows. If they start blocking, go for the throw into another loop. Even if you know how to use Carl's loops, your opponent will never willingly jump into position, so use air dashes, vivace, and la campanella to make that happen as often as possible. Be creative with these attacks and incorporate them into your game. Carl's mid-air down C is a pretty bad move by itself. It has little range and there's not much you can follow it up with. It can even leave you open for punishment as you bounce over your opponent.
I'm still okay.
However, if you cancel it into an Allegretto, it becomes a very useful tool, which was given the nickname Allecancel online. To do it, use Allegretto the moment the down C hits. If you did it right, you'll fall to the ground instead of hopping back into the air. It's a quick, damaging overhead with no recovery when you land, so use it in your game for added damage and options. Carl's throw doesn't have much range, but it's possible to extend it using a technique called kara canceling.
Show me your power.
Essentially, you're taking the lateral movement of his forward B and going into a throw before the attack actually comes out. So instead of pressing forward and B and C at the same time, you'll be pressing B then C in quick succession. It's pretty easy to do, and since there's no downsides, you might as well use it all the time.
Show me your power.
Nirvana's up D completely negates air, instant, and barrier blocks, so it'll always connect if it hits an airborne opponent. It's one of Carl's best attacks, so learn when to abuse it. It's also one of Nirvana's moves that'll come out even if Carl's attacked, as long as her clap animation is done. Keep in mind though that Hakumen can counter it with his own drive, and since it counts as a projectile, it'll be eaten by Tager's sledgehammer.
Won't stop me.
When you're not using it in one of Carl's loops, it's best used as a tech trap, which could potentially lead into another loop. For instance, when you're finishing an air combo with Allegretto and Nirvana's waiting on the other side. If your opponent recovers incorrectly, they'll eat a shockwave, and you can continue to punish them. If you're pressuring them in the corner or in the sandwich, you can also control the space directly above them. If they jump up, you can punish them for it. Because Carl and Nirvana can attack at the same time, you have a few unblockable setups at your disposal. As usual, these require that your opponent is sandwiched between Carl and Nirvana. The first setup is done by combining Nirvana's overhead attack with any of Carl's low attacks. Since the opponent can't block high and low at the same time, they'll eat both attacks. Similarly, the second setup uses Nirvana's down forward D, which hits low, and you combine that with one of Carl's overheads. If any of these unblockable setups connect, you can continue into a different loop. When Nirvana's doing her punching super Rhapsody of Memories, you have a few options at your disposal. If your opponent's being nailed by Nirvana, you can add in your own attacks for added damage. If they waste their burst during Nirvana's rush, you can continue to punish them after Nirvana sends them flying. If your opponent happens to block Rhapsody of Memories, you can still try to catch them by mixing in low attacks or overheads, particularly Carl's forward C or Allecancel. Likewise, you can also cross them up with Vivace or instant air dashes with Allecancels to mess with their blocking. If your opponent doesn't change the direction they block when you cross over, they'll eat the rest of Nirvana's rush. When you know your opponent's gonna burst, you can punish them easily if you have some heat. If you're comboing them on the ground, you can use the Gear Super Laetabilis Cantata. You'll be knocked away, but they'll still eat the Distortion Drive. If they're gonna burst in the air, use Nirvana's Super Punch for Mata. Well, if she's nearby, of course. Or you can always rapid cancel your combo, block the burst, and then punish them afterward. Don't forget that when you're not being attacked, you have full control of Nirvana. This includes the invincibility time when you're rolling, when you're using your burst, or even during your Gear Super.
Not quite.
In BlazBlue, combo damage is generally scaled down the higher the combo counter becomes, but this doesn't apply to throws. In high-end gameplay, Carl's most feared weapon is his throw loop. It combines Carl's air throw with Nirvana's unblockable up D, and if done correctly, it can be continued infinitely until your opponent dies. If they throw escape, they'll still be caught by Nirvana's shockwave, which can potentially lead back into another loop. If you get the timing down perfectly, there are very few characters who can get out of it.